Hey everyone, Michael here from Bagogames.com. Here is my first League of Legends commentary, which is going to be done not live. These are playing off the program called LOL Replay, which you can download for free. It automatically records your games for League of Legends afterwards, and then you can watch them back in its own player. It's a really helpful tool to watch your mistakes as well as record stuff like I'm doing here. So there may be some problems. It has some problems with fraps when you're recording with fraps, so hopefully things will go somewhat smoothly. I am playing with some of my friends that I usually play League of Legends with. I'm playing with Luke as Kog'Maw. I am playing with Donovan as Nidalee. Byron is Shyvana. I am playing Jax, and John is playing Shen. So, I'm going to be actually going bottom. Bottom with Nidalee. This typically isn't how things really go, but it goes well for us. This is actually some of the few times that I have played Jax since his remake. I'm gonna lock the camera actually, so it's easier. I'm not gonna be moving around all over the place. But Jax is really good now. I do miss his old passive. His new passive now is pretty much his passive of his ultimate, which was before, but part of his passive at least. But he is still extremely strong. He just needs a little bit of farm, needs to get some items going, and then he can pretty much snowball from there, which is what I do. This is actually a shorter game because we make them surrender, I believe. John is going to be playing Shen up top solo, while Byron's going to be jungling, and Luke is going to be taking mid with Kog'Maw. So Shyvana, of course, doesn't need the blue, so he is starting at red, taking Wraiths first. Generally, if it was a higher level game, I would probably Nidalee and I would probably be watching around in blue entrances just to make sure they don't try to take our blue. But we see them walking to the bush and they place a ward. We almost get it, but don't have enough attack speed. So we know that bush is warded, so we got to be careful not to get trapped in there. We're going to get Twisted and a Sona, so this going to be a little bit more troublesome because they have the range on us other than Nidalee, as well as they also have a little bit more sustain. Nidalee's heal isn't as good as Sona's. So I'm going to let Donovan farm a little bit more than I will, because this is one of the first times he's playing Nidalee, so I want to get him to be able to last hit better. He wants to practice that more. Plus I want to try and get my money and stuff mostly from kills and everything. So I'll take some of the last hits here and there. Kog'Maw will be going against Heimerdinger, and Shen has a duo lane, I believe, because they don't have a jungler, so he is going against Rammus and Jack, which is a pretty hard lane if you're a melee. They have a lot of damage. Rammus can just taunt and Jax can just jump on them. But luckily that gives Shyvana the jungle to himself. So I mean, as long as Shen can keep Jax and Rammus off the tower, he should be fine. Considering they're both melee, it shouldn't be too much of a problem. I am running with my... Let's see, what am I running with? I think I'm running with my AP rune set, but I'm not 100% sure. Considering I have AP at the start, I'm assuming so. Got 15 AP, as well as I got quite a bit of tankiness from either runes. As you can see, Jackson put out a lot of damage once he gets his leap and empower, and Nidalee lands a nice spear there, which I want to put a little bit of harass on them at least. Sona's really squishy early on, so we just gotta worry about Twisted. He has quite a bit of health for a low level, but and it also doesn't help that they're both sort of ranged. So what they're doing is they're pretty much pushing the lane up, so it's a little bit harder for us to last hit. It doesn't really help Nidalee's situation since Donovan hasn't really last hit. It still needs to learn how to last hit a bit. I know how to last hit at the tower pretty well. It's usually, depending on who you're playing, it is generally, depending how strong the minions are as well, it's Oh, there goes Byron getting first blood, which is good. It's generally 2 tower shots to a melee minion, and then you can just auto attack them once or use a skill once on them, and you'll get the last hit. And for ranged minions, it's 1 tower hit, which will generally get it down enough. Sometimes 2, depending how strong you are, how weak you are. So I want to get some harass on them and at least trade. I do use my stun, and the thing that people need, like, I played quite a bit. I know quite a bit about the game, and you know, as much as it may sound as bragging, I do know that I am pretty good at the game. Right here, I see that Donovan landed a spear, so. But luckily, I have my dodging skill as well as Donovan's heal. I thought I could get Sona there, but she healed as well as popped her flash, so they did pop exhaust on me as well, so it generally was a fair trade considering they're pushed up and they're a little bit lower, as well as we have our jungler here. I did not know Byron was going in right when he got there though, so we're hurrying in trying to help out. I jump on Sona because she's a squishier one, and some nice spears from Donovan finish him off. I tell Byron to back off because he can't, nowhere near strong enough to fight underneath the tower yet, especially if Twisted brings his gold card up. That could pose for some trouble later on. Activate my stun. I think it's a little bit AoE damage going. Fail on those last hits. So we're up by 2 kills. This is a good start for us, especially considering our jungle has got first blood, and we pretty much have control over everything since they don't have a jungler. Shen's doing fine up top. I don't believe. Oh, I'll hook this for a second. Can't tell how much the tower has been hit. Oh, excuse me. On my way back, I get Amplifying Tomb, a ward, as well as pots. Now, the reason I got a ward was because even though they don't have a jungler, down here, having someone like Twisted with a stun, you generally want to be wary of him hiding in bushes and stunning you from there. So I'm getting a ward mostly just to keep them out of the bush. It allows our ranged, who is Donovan, to actually stay in the bush himself and counter harass pretty much. Considering we're pushed up at the tower, I put it in the closer bush towards us. I did hear a ward go off for them as well, I believe, too. So the name of the game for us is pretty much just farming, because our late game is going to be a lot better than their late game. You know, people like me and Kog'Maw thrive on just pretty much farming and getting items later on. While Shyvana has a jungler herself, she's going to be pretty much a wrecking ball later on, because she'll be able to just free farm the jungle and take all the buffs and everything like that, as well as give buffs to whoever needs it. And I should have last hit there. As you can see, Byron gave Donovan blue buff, just because Nidalee with blue buff just means spamming spears as well as easier on the heals. Now we notice Twisted Fate's not here, so I start trying to zone Sona out, just so she doesn't get last hits as well as she gets no experience. Zoning out is pretty much another key thing you need to learn. Now, that's why last hitting is so important. It's because controlling the lane, you know, average players don't normally think about this, because, you know, their sort of mindset is just sort of kill the minions and make your lane push up and hit the tower sort of deal. But you generally don't want that. It is actually more beneficial in the early game to just zone out your opponent. You shouldn't really worry about getting those hits on the tower unless you actually kill your lane. Bottom lane is generally a kill lane, and generally is where most of the kills come from early on, unless you get ganked or something like that. It's more of the action. So Donovan's just pretty much trying to land spears and get some harass going. We see Rams. We didn't get I don't believe we got a Mia call, so just to be safe, Donovan flashes out of there. Just because Rams' taunt's pretty hefty, and they could probably, if he got taunted, burst him down. Now we're all on Skype together, so that's why there's not much chat going on. I get my ultimate, and now my damage is going to be a lot more, especially with my passive. failing some last hits there. And when you're near the tower, never be afraid to use your abilities to last hit. Last hitting is a core element of the game, and I mean, if you fail at landing skill shots or something like that, at least learn how to last hit, because out farming your opponent is massive. I win games usually just because I farm so well. I am pretty much always in the top CS, which is the creep score. Oh, here we get ganked again. I pop on Rammus just to try to get a snowball down, as well as try and help out Donovan, but he gets taunted. I thought I probably could have killed Twisted, but I probably would be sacrificing myself because I would have had to jump to him, or at least waste my flash, which I didn't really want to do. You know, another big part of the game is generally knowing when to go in and when not to go in. So I'm just pretty much focusing on last hitting now. Don't want to let this experience and stuff go to waste. I do have enough health pots to sustain myself till Donovan gets back, so I'm not too worried about getting jumped on. If they do jump on me, I have exhaust as well as my flash and my stun from my dodge skill. So pretty much if they dive me, they're gonna kill themselves. Even Rammus at this low level wouldn't be able to tower dive me right now. So John's pretty much just holding top lane. He comes down because I told him the three bottom, but he really should have just kept farming top. He really didn't need to come down here because Nidalee was back, as well as they weren't going to tower dive us. But the help's fine. You know, I'm pretty much putting pressure on the squishies while the rest are jumping on Rammus. They really should have done anything with Rammus. I almost died, but luckily my dodge skill saves me, and I bait twisted into getting killed. So John coming down here wasn't a total loss. It actually helped out Byron a bit because he's farming top now, and he's pretty much just getting experience. I mean, it's fine coming bottom as long as the experience and gold isn't getting wasted. So Byron's just pretty much going to push the lane up as fast as he can and then just go back to his jungling. The reason why you don't really want to stay there and just last at the tower is early on you want to not only zone your opponent out, but you want to, when you kill them or when you notice they left the lane, you want to push that lane up and then just B right away. Go spend your gold and you'll come back at the same time, but at that time your minions will have gotten to their tower and they would have gotten killed by that tower, meaning that not only are they losing gold, they're losing experience because they're not within the lane. So you want to push out that lane, and then you want to B right away so you can get back in time, just so when the lane resets you'll be there to start last hitting again and zoning them out. You don't really want to early on kill the tower right off the bat unless you for sure can get it in one go, and then you can go help out other lanes. But generally speaking, zoning out and stuff is better for the long run. Generally you want to prepare for the long run, just in case games get big and long. Wow, that was a outright penis joke right there. So my general build for Jax, I don't play him too much, but generally I've been building Triforce first. I tend to do well enough that I don't need to build survivability right off the bat.